Hello and welcome to this episode of Compensation Insider. Today I would like to talk about adding value to the client by telling you a story about how I added value to one of my previous clients just by helping them spend less money on another compensation and benefits project. So a few years ago, I was working with this semi-gov entity in Abu Dhabi, and I had already done phase one of the project, which was like an audit of the compensation practices. And at the end of that, there had been a decision to go for a new incentive plan for the organization. And especially for the executives. And the board had told the HR director to just go to Hay and ask them to do it. And at the time I was advising, and I knew that this project wouldn't be for me to do because it had some technical aspects where you needed actuaries and lawyers and everything. And obviously for me as an independent consultant, it's not a service that I can provide, but I was there to help the client. And I insisted, I said to them, look, I know that the board has told you to go to Hay, but the challenge is that in this part of the world, most of the time people only know about Hay because they're the largest consultancy, but actually they should do a proper, quote or proposal process and go through it, and they might be surprised by the quality of the proposals that they're going to receive. So after insisting with my client, he eventually agreed that I should do it for them. So what I did is that I prepared the RFP template with the procurement team, identified which would be the evaluation criteria, and led the meetings with the consulting companies that we reached out to in order to receive their proposals. And then I was part of the population that evaluated each of the proposals. So the HR director did an evaluation, I did an evaluation, and the HR advisor did the third evaluation. And surprisingly enough, it was another company that was pre-selected by us to come to the board. So then the HR director was like, oh, I'm in a bit of a weird situation because the board told me to go to Hay. I didn't go just to Hay, I went to others, and now we're saying that we think that we should go with another company. Are they going to, kill me for that? And so he asked me to prepare presentation so that he would explain why we had done that, what were the criteria, and why we were thinking that working with the other company would be a good choice for the organization. It turns out that the board was absolutely delighted by the fact that we had done this RFP and actually followed the recommendation that we had come up with. And the HR director was very happy because it helped to establish his credibility with the board. And what happened is that not only the proposal that was selected was actually more adapted to the need of the organization, because the consultancy had demonstrated that they had already done similar projects in the similar industry across the GCC. And so we felt that they were more adapted to the type of project, but the cost was significantly less. Even though it was still high, it was significantly less. And I made a joke to the HR director. I said, see, you have saved with this RFP more than my fee that I charged you for the whole phase one of the project. And this is good. I came to you for free. And eventually that was really good for me as well, because I ended up being rehired for phase two. And what they asked me to do was not to manage the project, but to manage the consultancy, because they didn't have an internal compensation and benefits team that was at the time experienced enough in order to handle the project, and they wanted to make sure that somebody was there to project manage, to make sure that the consultancy, was not just doing a copy paste of some work they had done for somebody else, to make sure that the proposal of the design would fit with the company culture and would fit with the objectives that the organization had put in place. So that turned out to be good for me as well. But I think it all came from this principle that even though that was not part of my remit, and that was actually a little bit of extra work for me as part of my phase one, which was supposed to be finished, by doing that extra work for the client, not only did I add value because they found a provider that suited their needs better, they saved money, and it served me good as well, as I got an extension of my contract. So goes to say that when you bring value to your client, and that's not just as a consultant, that's also internally, you will always benefit from that. It will be good for you to bring that value to your organization, because they will recognize and then come back to you and trust you, and it makes your own life easier later on, because then you don't need to fight as much whenever you want to implement something. They go like, oh yeah, we trust what he or she is doing, and therefore it's easier for you to get approvals for your projects. So trying to always go the extra mile, I guess that's my lesson for today. Thank you so much for listening, and I wish to see you next week. Thank you. Bye-bye.